Saturday from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Hosted by United Progressive Party. Together for progress.
Today I never give up before. It's not in my blood.
It's so good. Praise the Most High God. With your whole heart and mind. Lift him high, lift him high. Holy, 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 holy. Holy Mount Zion. The Lord's my shepherd, I'll not want. Take me down to lie in pastures green, that leadeth me the quiet waters by.
My soul hath restored and me to walk of stay
Within the path of righteousness, even for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk in death's dark vale, yet will I fear no ill. Thy rod and staff, they are with me, they surely comfort thee.
my table has furnished in the presence of my foes.
My head no not with oil, my cup it overflow. Goodness and mercy all my life shall surely follow me. And in just forevermore, my dwelling place must be.
Goodness and mercy all my life shall surely follow thee. And in Jehovah's forevermore,
My dwelling place shall be. Holy, holy, holy.
Are you ready? Are you ready to talk about how we can help the vulnerable members of society, our children, the elderly, and differently abled? Are you interested in small business, education, job creation, and the environment? Then it sounds like you're ready. You're ready for Let's Talk Progress, a new uplifting show on Q95 every Saturday from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Hosted by United Progressive Party. Together for progress.
today I never give up before. It's not in my blood.
I am glad I am to once almost surely gazing wonder. It's so rich and rare. All these years we do extol healthy lives of life. You share the Lord's love. Dominica, God has blessed clouds of beauty filling all with your delight, and the people strong and heavy, full of godly reverent fear, may we ever seek to praise Thee, for Jesus so rich and mighty, for songs and tones of this gem beyond compare. Strive for honor, songs and tones, do the right, be firm, be fair. Toil with consent and prosper, sound the call in which everyone rejoices. Oh, each and each oh,
members of society, our children, the elderly, and differently able. Are you interested in small business, education, job creation, and the environment? Then it sounds like you're ready. You're ready for Let's Talk Progress, a new uplifting show on Q95 every Saturday from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Hosted by United Progressive Party. Together for progress.
I need y'all to run down here. Come on, let me hear you. All right, folks. Yes, we are here. Let me say a special greetings and welcome to all of you locked to Q at this time. Welcome to this program from 7 to 9. The United Progressive Party's program each and every Saturday. That is how we want to get you this evening going. That is with this one from Jonathan Nelson, asking an all-important question to you guys out there. Do you, yes, do you and you and you, do you believe? The time is already 10 minutes past the good old hour of 7 o'clock, not just in Dominica, but in the regional space in which we live. So welcome, welcome one. Welcome one and all. Tell Paul to tell all. Tell Lou to tell Sue the program is on. We're going to open up those lines in just a while so that you could make contact with us. Just to let us know you are out there and you are tuned in. Welcome, Dominica. Those of you in the region, welcome on board as well. And or further afield, welcome indeed as well. Mr. Mr. I got to call him Mr. Jonathan Francis, huh? Oh, Lord. Well, you never know, huh? Do you believe, Dominicans? Yes, do you believe? Come on, say it. Say it. Joshua. Got a tongue twist a while ago there. Yes, Joshua Francis is here with us tonight. He wasn't there with us in the flesh last week, out on a special mission in the Kalinago territory. But yes, he is here tonight, and we'll be welcoming him in just a bit.
So, folks, the numbers to call us here as we get going: 449-3095, 449-3096, 449-3097. If you got a DG line, it is 616-4257. Those of you overseas and want to call in, want to chime in here, 305-432-9624. That is your number. Again, 449-3095, 3096, 3097. DG line 616-4257. Overseas line 305-432-9624. All of you tuned in at this time, welcome on board. A very interesting program awaits us all this evening. So all we ask is that you keep it locked to the sport that you got. So whilst we wait on your calls, let me open up Mr. Joshua Francis Mike and say hi and hello to him. Josh, good evening to you, sir.
Hi, good evening, Lofty, and good evening to Dominica. Happy holidays.
Indeed.
Happy holidays. Lofty, happy holidays to you.
Happy holidays as well. Compliments of the season, Josh. Wishing you a splendid 2026 ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Lofty, and same to you. Multiple fold.
Indeed.
Yes.
Josh, so how was the day so far, may I ask?
The day has been good, giving thanks and praises. Another day the Lord has made. I rejoice and I'm glad in it.
Indeed.
And what about yours, Lofty?
Well, my day, I've seen better days, but I made the best out of it. Huh?
All
I
right,
made the best
well,
out of it.
we're alive and we're kicking.
Yeah.
And
True.
we're here as servants for the people of Dominica.
True.
And I take it that you had a good Christmas day.
Well, yes, I did.
All right, great.
Yes.
Great. Well, special good evening to the members, the executive members and general members of the United Progressive Party. A special good evening to the people of Dominica, wherever you are, the people in the southern part, Soufriere, Point Michel, Loubier, Castle Comfort, Wallhouse, Newtown, Fort Ney, Kings Hill, Bath Estate, Emsall, Roseau Central, Pottersville, Maho, Roseau Valley, St. Joseph. Good evening to you. Season greetings. Lofty, I guess you can take it from there. I touched a few communities.
Yes, we'll take the telephone lines in a while, Josh. Yes, but everyone in Dominica listening, good evening to you guys. Those of you out of state, but you're from Dominica, good evening to you as well.
Yeah, the people of Granby and Petit Savan and the people of Bellevue, Peachland, Forsasia, Bagatelle. Good evening to you.
True. Folks, in terms of announcement moving forward, just before we go to those telephone lines to get your greetings in, we're expecting to have a very special guest tonight, Member of Parliament in Antigua and Barbuda, none other than Mr. Algernon Watts. We call him in the media business Mr. Serpent. And so we are expecting him here tonight to have some discussions with us. What is unfolding in Antigua of late. So we expect Mr. Serpent tonight. For those of you from Antigua and Barbuda tuned in at this time, one of yours will be in tonight. Hopefully, that is, once the technology permits. So yes, folks, 449-3095, 3096, 3097, 616-4257, 305-432-9624. It is your time now.
Everybody say it. I trust. Come on. Y'all put your voice here. I can hear you. Come on, say it. I trust. Say it. I believe. Say it. You are the God of me. You are the God of wonders.
I know there's a brother in the Cochrane area listening at this time. When I was coming here, he said, Lofty, are you guys on tonight? I'm going to be tuned in, huh? So, Mr. Jason Wright, good evening to you, my brother. And all my good folks in the Cochrane area, you guys as well. Let's go now to the telephone lines to take those greetings. Caller, yes, good evening to you. Thanks for being the first caller on the United Parties program tonight. Yes, good evening.
Yeah, listening.
You are listening? Where are you calling us from? All right, all that caller was prepared to say you're listening. So yes, this program is being brought to you by the United Progressive Party.
Come on, y'all, help me say it.
We'll take about 5 more minutes on the greetings line. So they are now open to you guys out there.
Y'all catching everybody. Come on, say it. So long, bye-bye. Say it. So long, bye-bye. Just one more time in the balcony, everybody say it. Say it. So long, bye-bye. So long, bye-bye.
Our company on the Facebook live feed tonight. Good evening to you guys as well, huh? We have persons like Stephanie John Baptist there, Ferdinand Lawrence, good evening to you. Davidson Butchern, Simeon George, Catherine Fontaine, good evening to you. Louis Francis as well. And the host of you here, good evening to you on that platform.
So long. Goodbye to my sorrow. Goodbye to my pain, y'all. Goodbye to my trouble. Goodbye to my trouble. Goodbye, dear. You ain't welcome here. Goodbye, dear. You ain't welcome here. So long. So long. So long. So long. Come on, hey. So long. Can't hear it.
Teresa Gabriel, good evening to you. Teresa said she's locked in too as well, huh?
Goodbye to my trouble. Goodbye to my pain, y'all. Goodbye, y'all. Everybody ring it. You got a miracle,
So yes, folks, we just have about 2 more minutes on that segment before we move up a gear. So if you got a call, you got to call now.
So long. Hey, so long. So
So coming up next in just a bit,
long to my trouble.
Joshua Francis, myself, and you guys out there, we're going to have a very candid conversation about the year. Yes, the year in review.
Welcome here.
The good, the bad, and the in-between. The positive, negative.
Goodbye to my pain, y'all.
And then we take a break, most likely, hopefully that is, and speak to a brother from Antigua and Barbuda. There is some unfolding situation in Antigua and Barbuda as we speak, and other matters as well. Before we bring it down to a wire at 9 o'clock tonight. So a big program awaits you guys. So keep it locked. Alrighty, Mr. Jonathan Nelson, thank you, my brother, for our introduction song tonight in terms of are you guys out there in belief mode for a better Dominica. Josh, again, good evening to you and welcome to the program tonight. It's always a pleasure, Josh, to be speaking with you on matters relating to Dominica's development, where we are as a country.
Oh, yes, Lofty. And same here. It's always a pleasure to engage the people of Dominica. I also want to say good evening to the people of Atkinson, the people of Antrizil, the people of Bataka, Crayfish River, Sensi, Point, Salibert, Golet River, Mao River, Seneco, the entire Kalinago constituency, including the people of Concord. Good evening to you. I hope you're having a good one. Yes, Lofty, this evening we are here to discuss the year in review. There are several things that happened in 2025, some good, some bad, some not so good. Of course, 2 hours is not going to allow us to cover everything, but we will look at some of the items we consider to be worthy enough to discuss.
True.
And of course, we have our brother from Antigua. Coincidentally, he's a member of parliament for the United Progressive Party in Antigua, our sister party. And he'll be here to speak with us in a few minutes. Lofty, we really don't have much time, really, because I think you're going to bring him on in the next 3 minutes, something like that.
Yeah, once I see him shows up here, then I will take him on.
Yeah, definitely. But Lofty, talking about the year 2025.
Just before we go to that here, just stick up in there. We all heard this morning of that very unfortunate homicide. It has been called in the Marigot area. So the family, friends, loved ones of the both parties involved. We empathize, we sympathize with you at this time.
Oh, definitely. I join you in expressing sincerest condolences from the United Progressive Party family and community. And from me personally, it's really sad, Lofty, to record yet another homicide in Dominica. I think that's number 24 unofficially. Hopefully, we'll get the data from the police within the next few days to confirm that it is number 24 for the year. And that 24 is 24 men, Lofty. I'm not too sure whether there is a woman involved. And more than likely, the perpetrators, the suspects, are young men again.
Yeah.
We have been mentioning that young men are in crisis, and we really have to take this very seriously. We have to address this matter before it escalates into a more serious situation for us. After all, we have a small population. On average, you're looking at 2 homicides per month. For every month, we recorded 2 killings in Dominica. That is significant. And we really need to address this matter. I think that the government has to put together a bipartisan committee to examine, analyze, and study this matter, and to try to come up with some solutions.
True.
Me personally, I'm prepared to assist in whatever capacity. Of course, I operate in a legal capacity. I meet a lot of these young men. Just recently, we had 2 homicides in Portsmouth, Lofty, if you recall. Over 20 young men were arrested as suspects. The police continues to investigate the matter. I'm not too sure whether they have been able to crack that matter thus far, but they are doing what they can with the limited resources. I think the government of Dominica really and must pay more attention, must put more resources into the police hands. I'm sure there are methods which can be improved. We have trained personnel, both here and abroad. We have criminologists. We have people who studied that part of life, and they can be of value to Dominica.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that we can arrest what appears to be an escalating problem. I'm not too sure whether we have recorded more homicides. Maybe. I think there was a year when we recorded something like 27 in Lofty. But I'm subject to correction.
If memory serves me right,
Yes.
I think so. But Josh, you as you said, you're practicing lawyer in Dominica. I know you have been dealing with a number of situations like that and others. But just on the surface of it, Josh, we have not ended yet. It is good. There are about 24 already for the year. What does that number of homicides that is for the year, 2 per month? What does that tell you, Josh, off the bat?
Well,
about our country, the state in which we are.
Right. Well, the country is undergoing change, social change, and the country is undergoing what we call decadence in social studies or in sociology. The country is going through a period of secularization. People are becoming irreligious or less religious. Lofty, when you were a little boy, you would recall people who were more churchgoers. People appear to have had more fear for God. So that's one. Number 2, like most countries in the world, Dominica is going through a technological movement where persons are more exposed to international cultures. The technology has allowed people to go on the international electronic highway, being more exposed to negative influence. Further, the economy is not so bright. People are not as productive, and therefore there is a greater sense of idleness. We also see a deterioration in the way in which people resolve issues. men are in crisis. The marginalization of men, the leadership of men is under attack, and the young men in particular, for whatever reason, there are several reasons. They seem to be the ones finding themselves in those kind of problems, resolving their issues with guns. Of course, coupled with that, there may be, we don't have the data, but clearly more illegal firearms are in the hands of young men. We do not manufacture firearms in Dominica, so that would suggest that we are seeing more imports of firearms. Some of those firearms sometimes go for transit. I'm being told that some young men sometimes get these firearms and they get it to Guadeloupe for sale. And of course, a residue of these firearms stay in Dominica. And when these young men find themselves in problems, they resort to the use of firearms to resolve their problems. So we are seeing that. We're also seeing more dysfunctional families. The traditional families breaking down. Lofty, we had more extended families in the past where, you'd find more than father staying with granny and grandpa. So some of us had the benefit of both parents. We had our parents and our grandparents in the same house. So it was stricter for young people growing up. So we've seen a change in the value system. We also experiencing a change in the music that people consume. I mean, people are listening to less music which is edifying, and probably listening to music which incite them to commit violence. Now, as I said, I'm not a trained criminologist. I'm just an attorney, but I deal with these young men. I speak with them. I try to understand their thinking. Some young men are very, very candid. They would say that they're going to resolve an issue using violence, and I would call on them and say, no, if you were to do X, the consequence would be B. And that would include probably spending the rest of your life in jail based on the type of violence they would want to commission. So Lofty is really a sad situation, because we are seeing young men in their 20s going away, and the perpetrators themselves are young, and sometimes they get caught. And oftentimes they have to spend a significant period of time behind bars. So society really is losing its leaders. Families are being affected because, of course, perpetrators have mothers. The deceased have mothers. So it's really a sad situation for us. And it's of concern to the government of Dominica. It's of concern to the church. And all of us should be concerned, because really this is a bipartisan issue. A crime involves all of us, affects all of us. What we do not want, Lofty, is to get to a place in Dominica where we feel unsafe. Relatively, we're still peaceful. Generally, Dominicans feel safe. As we speak, some people may take a ride to go down to Mero to have a bath on the beach. Some people may go to the hot springs. So generally, we feel safe. But the trend that we are taking, sadly, if we do not mitigate violence in Dominica, we will be in a situation where we get unsafe. I do not necessarily want to say that we don't want to be like Trinidad and St. Lucia and St. Kitts, where the violence seems to be at a higher level. But the point is, one death is too many.
True.
24 is way too many for
True.
Dominica.
Indeed. All right, folks, it is 28 minutes to the hour of 8 o'clock. We'll try to engage our guest in just a bit. That is Brother Watts from Antigua and Barbuda. We want to make tonight's year in review in terms of program and its contents. They are very, very interactive. I think someone is on the overseas line. Caller, yes, thanks for holding.
Hey, Lofty, good night.
Hi, good
How you
night.
doing?
Yes, good evening, sir.
Good listening to your program. I want to say something. I share something with Dominicans. And I want Dominicans to know, whatever is happening with guns and whatever in Dominica, let me tell you something. The Prime Minister knows all about it. I live in the US, and I know everything from start to finish. He knows all about it. He's only protecting himself right now. He don't care about the little boys on the street or whatever on the street up in the boy. As Melissa says, she got a sniper and she have a...
All right, caller, let me just interject there. While you're making a very broad brush statement here, really, Prime Minister, and he knowing or his knowledge of the guns or crimes that has been committed in Dominica. Can you be a little more specific in terms of details based on what you are saying or accusing the man who holds the seat of Prime Minister in Dominica? Just be a little more specific.
Yes. Yeah, because Lofty, I know what I'm talking about.
Right, so that's what I'm asking you. Tell us some of what you know, at least 1 to 3 bullet points of what you know.
the last shipment of gun they got from I think from Atlanta to Florida to Dominican, whatever. Lovely is a lot of things we in the US know, but we cannot share it because these people track us from our phone calls and our media.
All right, caller. What I'm just trying to say to you now. This program, we want to keep it at a certain level in terms of facts or the factual information. So if you're coming to make a statement of such veracity whereby you're accusing in this time the prime minister, you should be able to not cower behind the telephone and say you don't want to because you might be tracked or what you should be man enough to come with some facts, some detailed information so that we can verify it. You put it on the table, it's on the record, and it can be verified. And yes, we can say, yes, what you're talking about is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. We want to keep it to a certain standard, not just all over the place. You understand what I'm saying?
Okay, I'm going to verify it on Monday morning, on Monday morning.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do just that. I'll be listening for your verification. Thank you for your call nonetheless and your listening. Yes, Josh.
Yes, I'm happy that you did that, Lofty, because we do not want to expose the radio station to any possible lawsuit. Of course, as you rightly pointed out, if somebody is calling to make such an allegation, the person should be able to support the allegation. Absent that, one has to be careful of what he or she says. But Lofty, going back to the crime situation, we recorded 9 homicides last year. Year before, I think we recorded 18. I'm subject to correction, but we do not want that trend to continue. We do not want that to continue. It should not continue, and we have and ought to do everything we can to ensure that we curb or mitigate this level of violence on the island.
All right. Let us just take one local call. We are seeing our brother here, brother Algernon Watts is already here with us, waiting patiently. That is. Let's just take that call and then we'll get to him in just a bit. Caller, yes, good evening. You're on.
Good evening, Lofty. Good evening to your panel.
Yes, good evening.
Hi, good evening, sir.
Lofty, let me try and help to express something where I am doubtful. When, if I can call him Sikiri, when Sikiri says that we should have a bipartisan investigation into this matter of murders, it's a good idea. But why would the government be hesitant to have such an investigation? Because it's going to uncover their flaws. It's going to uncover their flaws. It'll all point to unemployment, lack of training. These are the things it's going to point to, and it's going to uncover the shortcomings of the government. That is why I believe that such an investigation will not be initiated. Thank you.
All right, caller. Thank you very much for your very succinct point here. Thank you very, very much indeed. Folks, yes, it is already 23 minutes to the hour of 8 o'clock. And as I mentioned to you guys earlier, we will be having a discussion tonight with a brother. I call him a brother from Antigua and Barbuda in the name of Mr. Algernon Watts, better known as Serpent in the radio media business in Antigua and Barbuda. Let me just see if I can make some initial contact with him right here and right now. Brother Algernon Watts, should I say Honorable Algernon Watts, you've been a member of parliament. Good evening to you, sir. Are you hearing me?
I am hearing you quite clearly. How are you hearing me clearly?
I'm hearing you clear enough. Yes, thank you very much.
Okay, appreciate this invite.
All right, thank you very much. Josh, our guest is here. Would you mind say a hi and hello to him?
Yes, good evening, sir. Good evening, Honorable Watts.
Good,
And
good evening to you, my brother.
Yes, welcome to the UPP's Dominica's program. We're very honored and happy to have you and to engage you. Of course, the invite was late, but nonetheless, knowing the nature of your personality, being a servant to the people of Antigua and the region generally, you nonetheless made time to engage the people of Dominica, and we're looking forward to have a very engaging, interactive communication and engagement with you.
Well, Dominica has always been dear to me. I have a number of friends from Dominica. I've interacted with a number of people from Dominica, and I even worked with Mr. Lennox Linton. He was my station manager at one point. So I'm always happy to help in any which way I can. I've never been to Dominica though. I apologize for that. I touched down on your runaway a few times. I think the last time I was on your runway was when we had Digital Rising Stars, and me being one of the one of the judges, the three judges, um, and Dominica won the Rising Stars that year, and they greeted the aircraft on the runway, and I came off the plane, had a quick interview, and then I got back on the plane. But that's as far as I've gotten.
Well, I suspect that's going to change very, very soon. I
I
am
look
making
forward to it.
a public invite for you to visit Dominica in the very near future. Hopefully, in the year 2026.
I smiled when I heard the name UPP, um, because I'm a member of parliament representing the St. George constituency for the UPP here in Antigua. Our UPP is the United Progressive Party. Um, I don't know what the abbreviation stands for in Dominica. I apologize for that. Maybe you will bring me up to speed.
Yeah, well, actually, it's the same. The
United Progressive
United
Party.
Progressive Party. Yes. So earlier,
Awesome.
yes, before you got online, we indicated to the public that you are our sister party, the
Hey,
UPP.
awesome. Absolutely awesome. I appreciate this. And I'm gonna spread the word with or without your permission. I'm gonna spread the word.
Well, that's what brotherhood is about, and
There you
sisterhood
go.
is about. It's about love, and all of us here are servants, and we're just doing our utmost to represent the interest of our citizens. Of course, Antigua hosts a number of Dominicans. I'm not too sure what the numbers are, Miss Honorable Watts. Maybe you can assist us, but we are aware that there are quite a number of Dominicans living in Antigua, working and residing in Antigua, and they are now Antiguans. I meet Dominicans in Antigua off and on, and I would ask, "Are you coming back to Dominica to reside?" And they would say, "No, they are comfortable in Antigua."
Yes, yes. Even two members of my staff. Well, they've moved on now to one has formed her own news group, which is quite fine. That would be Charmaine Beek Charles.
Mhm.
She was a reporter here with us, and then there's this Miss Alicia George. She's
Yeah.
now at the Antigua Broadcasting Station, but they all got their start right here at Observer, um, when they came from Dominica. So we have always opened our arms to our brothers and sisters from Dominica. As to the number of Dominicans here in Antigua, I don't have that figure to hand because the census has not been completed, but I dare say, I would say no less than 25%.
You're saying no less than 25% of the Antiguan population would be
Would,
because.
would be Dominicans or offspring of Dominicans.
Oh wow,
Because
yeah, yeah.
when I from a child, I remember hearing it's Antigua, Barbuda, Dominica.
Oh, wow.
That Yeah, it was Antigua, Barbuda, Dominica. Dominica was not like a foreign country. As a matter of fact, and I hope I don't get sued for this. At one point, it was the running story here, a very public secret, that our Prime Minister V.C. Bird and your Prime Minister David Junior Charles were very friendly.
Yes, yes.
I,
So
I,
there
I,
was always there was always a connection between Antigua and Dominica.
Yes, yes. And as we
yeah.
speak, the connection continues, and sometimes in a bad way too, because one of the items that we have on the agenda here to explore is in respect to the proclamation by the US President Donald Trump a few days ago concerning visa restriction for Antiguans and Dominicans to enter the US.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Um,
yeah.
that is a serious issue. I saw an explanation being proffered by your Prime Minister, Mr. Roosevelt Skerrit,
Yeah,
who
Mr. Watt, sorry for chiming in here. Let me just ask you here, just before we get things really, really heated up here in terms of the discuss, because I know your man, you have a lot to say. In terms of the Dominican people, those who may be listening at this time who don't know you at all, maybe hearing your voice for the first time, just a brief intro as to just who we are hearing tonight and maybe seeing. Is your video by any chance can come on the live feed so we can see you? Because I'm not seeing you from my end. Right, very well.
Okay.
Because
Yes.
we are live, so people need to see your face as well. Thank you.
A brief introduction as to who I
Yes,
am.
sure.
I am Algernon Watts. Spelled Algernon, pronounced Algernon.
Oh, Algernon.
And
Okay, thanks.
yes, I've been in the media now for 25 years. Before that, uh, master of all, not jack of all, but master of all trades. I've done this, done that. I worked as a mechanic, a bailiff, an auctioneer, an electrician, a farmer. I've done a little bit of everything, but I found the media 25 years ago, and I never moved. And I started as a DJ, as a radio show host on Observer Radio, and fortune smiled with me. I'm now the owner.
True, true. That's good. In terms of just an idea, in terms of me listening to you, I remember listening to you uh, in May of 2021. Let me just jog back your memory on your program on I think it was a Saturday afternoon where you broke that story about a man, CBI. He got a CBI passport from you guys in the name of Mr. Choksi, and you broke that news that afternoon. I was fortunate to be listening to you guys at the time, and basically said that guy went missing, and people are looking for him. The police is looking, and whatever it is, and here it was. After you broke that story, Mr. Watts, I picked up on it, and here it is. This brother ended up in Dominica, and based on what you said over there that afternoon on May 2021, we found out that I broke that story here, right here on the station, that Mr. Choksi ended up in Dominica and he claimed against his will. So that is how far back I listened to you and learned from you in the process.
Well, that situation remains with Choksi. There's still some unanswered questions,
Very
but
much
a
so.
police report that was done, an investigation that was done here, leads us to believe or leads us to conclude that Meul Choksi was not incorrect when he said he was kidnapped here in Antigua and taken to Dominica. Now, the question is, why Dominica of all places? But
Mhm.
then the answer here in Antigua, and I'm not saying this is the truth, I'm just telling you what is being bandied about in the media and on the water cooler, the coffee table, is
Mhm.
that our prime minister and your prime minister has some sort of budding relationship that maybe he felt comfortable if he had anything to do with it. He felt comfortable that he could reach out to his buddy in Dominica to help with the situation if he had anything to do with it. Now
Yeah.
that has never been proven because the report was shelved. We never went any further with it. But Choksi we know was wanted by India. Choksi had an Antiguan and Barbudan passport through CIP. India reached out, they sent a red notice, they wanted Choksi. Gaston Brown, our prime minister, resisted that at first. Resisted that at first. Oh, he's a citizen and da 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 da. We saw pictures of Choksi being taken to his office. They were very cool. But then with them freezing Choksi's accounts in India, etc., and Choksi's money started running out. Then you can no longer pay the piper, you can no longer call the tune. See?
Mhm.
Then India, I remember COVID came. India was the one who were putting out was it AstraZeneca? AstraZeneca vaccine
At the time, yes.
at the time. And at the time, it was Dominica, I think, who had to give us some vaccine. We couldn't get help from other places because of the behavior and attitude of our prime minister. and so on. We weren't getting the assistance that the other Caribbean countries were getting. So I think your prime minister gave us about 5,000 vaccine, but coincidentally, when that situation happened with Choxi, when that situation happened with Choxi, um, shortly thereafter, we got vaccine like crazy from India.
Hmm.
Now, people saw that as maybe a quid pro quo. But long and short is Choxi was kidnapped from Antigua, put on a boat, ended up in Dominica, of all places, and it is alleged that had the pilot not been late to Dominica, Choxi would have been out of Dominica before you guys would have known about it.
True. Brother Watts, there's a noise in your background, either television or something. Can you just do
No, it's not a
something about that?
television. I'm actually in studio. If I
Okay.
turn around, you'll see the guys are behind me.
Oh,
Because
okay.
we actually have a program. Let me change position then. That because I tried muting them, but I can't completely because I'm in the
Okay.
control
Okay.
room.
All right.
So
That's
let
fine.
me
That's
go
fine.
into another room.
All right. No problem.
Yes, because I actually have a show that my show is on from my show goes until 11. All
Wow.
right, so now I'm in the control room. I'm out of
All
the
right. Yeah.
control room.
Yeah, that's much better in terms of the feedback.
Yes, I
Yeah.
apologize, but here I am.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. Okay. So I guess that wraps up the conversation on Chucks in terms of our knowledge of you in breaking that story in Antigua. Josh was asking the question to you a while ago. Read the visa slash ban restriction on Dominicans, Antigans. Can you speak to that, please, as we move forward? Thank you.
What we heard is that America has put their foot down. There's a restriction on. This says it will start at the 1st of January, and that restriction is for non-existing visa holders. Um, Basically, they're playing hardball with us, hardball with all those who are, and this is just my opinion, hardball with all those who are very friendly or cozy with Venezuela, and they're using the CIP as that's the excuse they're using. Because in the case of Antigua, they spoke about residency requirement, but
Mhm.
Antigua does have a residency requirement as fast as it is.
Mhm.
Because when we started, it was 30 days. You had to be in the country 30 days in 5 years to qualify. Um, Gaston Brown got in and they reduced it down to 5. But whether it's enough, that's a debatable question. The thing is, though, we do have residency requirement. So Antigua would not have been disqualified if they're speaking about residency.
Okay.
There has to be something a lot more than that.
Mhm. In terms of the people who are in possession of your passports through that CIP program, we call it in Dominica the CBI. Uh, is there any allegation of persons of nefarious character have in their possession you guys document?
We know that for a fact.
Mhm.
We know that for a fact. The due diligence that they claim that is supposed to be so rigid and sturdy, that's just talk. There's one situation, for example, and we have the emails to verify, where a lady from China, she, I think she might have been in Dubai at the time, but she wrote an email to them saying she needs her deposit money back because she is now wanted. There's a red notice for her. She's wanted in Dubai. She's also wanted in China. And she would not pass the due diligence test. So she needs her deposit money back. And they told her, no, it's okay. It's okay. Just keep trying and who knows? And lo and behold, she passed the test. A lady who had two red notices out for her passed the test. There have been other situations. See, in fact, we had a situation in Antigua where a gentleman by the name of Mr. Oh, he was the head of our CIP. He's a Canadian. I'm trying to remember his name right now. Mr. Checkway. Mr. Checkway. He was the head of our CIP, and he warned us about the way we were handling our CIP program here. Rather than pay attention to Mr. Chekwe, our Prime Minister went to Parliament and lambasted the man, as he is prone to do, as he is known to do, um, and had some unkind things to do, and the man quit. Next thing we saw, Mr. Chekwe on the media in Canada speaking about our CIP program, and very, very shortly thereafter, we lost visa-free access to Canada.
So, Honorable, you are suggesting that the U.S. restriction on travel of antigens to the United States may be related to diplomatic concerns in that Antigua is cozy with Venezuela. And from what you're saying, there may also be concerns about the handling of the CBI program in Antigua as well. And you're saying
This,
that based on the record, your government has engaged persons of questionable character and possibly giving passports to persons who may not have gone through due diligence.
It is on the record. That is on record. There's no doubt about that. Another issue that we have had and we have highlighted many times is the diplomatic passports as well. We have people who were getting diplomat now to do the CIP. You're supposed to go through due diligence, but to get a diplomatic passport, it is the Minister and Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
Right. So in Antigua, because here in Dominica, we have had allegations of this government giving diplomatic passports to not only persons with questionable characters, but persons who have absolutely no contribution to make to Dominica. A matter of fact, there isn't transparency on the number of diplomats we have. As I speak, the country is not aware as to how many diplomats, how many persons are in possession of diplomatic passports and for what purpose.
Are we twins?
Well, it appears that we are on the same path in respect to certain political behaviors. Now, earlier, you were alluding that the Prime Minister of Antigua, Honorable Gaston Brown, has a relationship with our Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit. So maybe they have the same political behavior in the manner in which they manage our resources.
Well, I can't speak too much about Dominica, nor would I, because I'm over here, you're over there. But from what we have seen, they seem to have a sort of a sort of relationship where they mirror each other. In fact, isn't his wife, your prime minister's wife, isn't she also an MP?
Yeah, that is correct. She is a
Okay.
member of parliament for the Roseau Central constituency and Minister of Housing.
Okay. Well, our prime minister, he brought his wife in. She is the minister. Well, now she was over lands and housing, I think, but she's now minister of public works, right? The second most powerful ministry in Antigua after finance.
Oh, wow. So going back to this passport situation, how are the people of Antigua responding to this latest visa restriction of Antigans into the US?
Well, the prime minister came out, as I was saying earlier. I saw a clip of your prime minister talking about the what the restrictions are, and that they were going to be reaching out, doing diplomatic conversations with the U.S. State Department. Our prime minister came out and, as they're prone to do, tried to mislead the public, basically saying that, puffing his chest up, he went, oh, they've spoken to them, and then, he is a hero riding on the white horse. But all that they've explained is exactly what the U.S. had said, that it is not for current visa holders. It will reflect to those who are now trying to get visas, etc. But we are not we are not resting assured, because I believe it's just a start. All right. The U.S. wanted to put radar here in Antigua. Antigua is strategically, geographically located. They wanted to put a radar system here. I am told that he said no, or whatever the case may be. But Ambassador Ron Sanders and so on. What arrangements they've made, what concessions they've made, uh, we don't know. We haven't heard anything. But I guess January 1st will tell for itself.
We had a similar situation in Dominica where after the proclamation, the US proclamation by Donald Trump, the United States of America president, we learned that as of the 1st of January 2026, our Dominican nationals who are in possession of US visas will be allowed to travel into the US. However, Dominicans without a US visa and seeking a US visa will not get a US visa, whilst Dominica's visa situation will be under review for 90 days. Now, that was in the proclamation, but unfortunately, maybe the Prime Minister and his technocrats did not read the entire proclamation. Thereafter, or immediately upon learning about the proclamation, Dominica sent representatives, including the Prime Minister, I assume, to go to Washington to have a discussion to get clarification on the proclamation. And the Prime Minister returned and he announced to the nation that the Dominicans who have US visas will be able to travel. But that was already in the proclamation. So what he said to the people really had been there already. So there was nothing
Mhm.
new. But to
Same thing with
compound
Antigua.
right, but to compound the situation, it appeared that the Prime Minister made a deliberate effort to mislead the people of Dominica when he asked questions such as, what if Dominicans who do not own US visas but seeking US visas, whether they will be able to make an application to get those visas? And he said, yes, they can make an application as of the 1st of January. But he went on to say that they would not get a US visa. So it was a deliberate effort to create obscurity and to put wool over the eyes of the people, to some extent, give them false hope and maybe to soften the blow that we are getting here, because Dominica has a very high population in the US. There are people who would want to renew their visas. There are young people who would want to go and study in the US. They had made arrangements to leave sometime early next year. There are people who do business in the US. Businessmen go to Miami or other parts of the US to shop. So a lot of Dominicans will be affected. And the Prime Minister has not taken full responsibility. Instead, he attempted to mislead the people of Dominica. But what's happening to us, and I assume similarly in Antigua, is a culmination of transgressions by this government. From since the Dominican Labour Party government has been in office from 2000, we have had several allegations against this government where diplomatic passports were given to questionable characters. We have had a CBI program that has been marked with a lack of transparency. In Dominica, we legislated under our regulations, CBI regulations, that is, that there are two options: an economic diversification option, where someone interested in acquiring Dominica's citizenship could contribute 100,000 US dollars into our treasury and to pay the administrative fees and in exchange get a citizenship, or what is called the real estate option, where someone invests in a real estate approved government project and in exchange get a passport. So we're looking at about 250,000. But a few years ago, the government spoke of a third option where monies or passports were given to a gentleman named Anthony Hayden, who is the owner or beneficial owner or shareholder of a company referred to as MMCE, whereby this gentleman would have exclusive control of the proceeds from the sales of our citizenship. And those proceeds were used for the construction of social housing, smart clinics, and eventually the government of Dominica gave him, that same gentleman, Anthony Hayden, a contract for the construction of the international airport, which is now being constructed. Of course, that company, that gentleman, one beneficial owner of MMCE. He eventually contracted with a Chinese company. So we have been asking questions. So how many passports have you given this company to sell over the years? What is the cost of the buildings, of the smart clinics and the social housing? What it would be his profit margin? We have been asking for information to be subject to the oversight of Dominica's parliament, but the government has refused and has caused a lawsuit as we speak to ask the question to the court as to let this government account. So I don't think it's that bad in Antigua, because I'm not aware you have a third option in Antigua, and of course you can tell us. But we have had significant concerns about the management of our citizenship by investment program, and I have no doubt the U.S. authorities would have been paying attention, and therefore they seized the opportunity to send once again warners, because after all, you can speak to Antigua. From since 2023, Dominica has been placed on visa restrictions to enter the UK. Before it was a visa-free entry. Now Dominican nationals have to acquire a visa to enter the UK, followed by Ireland, and now our CBI residents, CBI citizens are not allowed to go into Norway. So clearly, on the international stage, Dominica's reputation has been affected, and some countries are tightening it up.
Now, I was listening to you just now, and as a media man, my media ear popped when you said that the monies went to an individual as opposed to the consolidated fund, or as opposed to a CIP unit.
That is correct. That is
So I
correct.
heard you correctly.
That is correct. Or the Constitution of Dominica provides an ambiguous provision which allows the government to expend funds for special projects, which would not necessarily have to be accounted for in Parliament, but that is subject to certain terms and conditions. What this government has done conveniently is to facilitate the sales of our citizenship by this individual, Anthony Hayden, owner of Montreal Management, to use that money to do certain government projects without subjecting the sales and the accounts to Parliament in Dominica. So the average person in Dominica, the ordinary Dominicans, do not know for sure how many citizenships have been sold by that company over the past 10 years or more, how much money has been expended from the proceeds of those sales, and where that money is being kept, because that's another issue. And if you notice, the legislation which was enacted in Dominica on the 14th of October last year, as part of the harmonization of the laws of the CBI program within the Eastern Caribbean, the one of the provision is accounting of finance, because the international community has had concerns about how we manage the CBI proceeds in respect to Montreal Management. They have been asking that all proceeds be accounted for within our jurisdiction. Instead, some of these proceeds are being kept in foreign accounts, and from these foreign accounts, we get inflows to finance some of the government projects. And of course, that have raised questions of money laundering, lack of transparency, lack of accountability. And we have had darkness in the management of the Citizenship by Investment program. So, what the United States of America has done may not necessarily be only in respect to the relationship that Dominica seemed to be having with Venezuela for the ALBA arrangement and the residency requirement. Now, that is a variance to our jurisdiction, because in Antigua, you spoke of you having the residency requirement. In Dominica, we do not have that residency requirement. We have been selling our citizenship, whereby people pay their 100,000. They do not know where Dominica is. They don't care about coming to Dominica. They get their passports and they move on with their lives. Now, the laws have changed, but at one time, the situation was even worse, where those citizens, the economic citizens, would change their names via deed poll. So they would get their passport with their native names, and upon receipt of the passport, they would then change. Well, upon receipt of the citizenship, they would change their names with an English name and get the passport with an English name. So we have had several issues with our citizenship by investment program here in Dominica. So I'm not surprised that the U.S. administration has taken that decision to
Yeah.
impose visa restrictions on us.
In the case of the U.S., they have been trying to make America great again, as according to the President Trump, and we know that one of the ways he's planning to make America great again is to restrict people from outside coming in. Now, if you're going to give him put fresh meat in the water, put blood in the water, if you're going to give him an opportunity to say, hey, look, I don't want you because you've been doing these things that are abhorrent. And now, in his case, though, he can't speak to about the CIP because it was 2 weeks ago I saw him selling citizenship for $1 million. I think it's 2 weeks ago he was selling a gold card, a Trump card, where you can pay $1 million and get your citizenship in the US. All that's
Right,
required is that you have $1 million.
right.
All right. But when we here in our little small space continue to do these reckless things, you can't then turn around and blame him for restricting you because you did things that he thinks goes against the grain. You can't say, well, you're doing it too. It doesn't work that way. Now, in Antigua, you mentioned three ways that you can get your CIP. With us, it
Well,
was two. It started out as two.
legally two, and a
Okay.
questionable third option.
All right. So we started out where you could invest by in some investment in Antigua. I think the tune was up to $500,000 or thereabouts. You can invest that way, hence the citizenship by investment, or you could pay $250,000 into the NDF, the National Development Fund, and that way you could get your CIP, your passport. However, we have a contracts here that this government, that Gaston Brown, the Prime Minister, has signed with entities here, the free trade zones. One being the YIDA development, and another one being, I think, is YSES, but I'm going to stick with YIDA for sure because I can put my hands on that document like that, where you saw a family of four getting passport for $50,000. Now, 50,000 divided by four is $12,500. You understand how ludicrous that is?
Mm-hmm.
A family of four in that space can get your passport for $50,000. That's in the contract with YIDA.
Oh, wow. Well, well, again, you're saying that Antigua has certain things parallel to Dominica because we have also had those allegations where certain passport agents or CBI agents also undersold our citizenship to be more competitive. So, in as much as the regulation says 100,000 US under the economic diversification option, it's alleged that certain agents sold the citizenships as low as 50,000 to be more
Yeah.
competitive on the market.
Well, I heard this argument. I'm not certain if I heard it in Parliament or on the radio itself, where they were talking about a race to the bottom. And I remember Gaston Brown himself was trying to reach out or speak to his colleagues, wanting them to stop devaluing the cost of the passport, Satan correcting sin, um, in what he refers to as a race to the bottom. So I think maybe they've regularized it now. I'm not certain, but I am honestly thinking, as a citizen, not as a member of parliament or journalist or whatever the case may be, but as a citizen, I am thinking that the risk that's involved in this right now makes it not worthwhile.
True.
So with your party, I guess you have a position that should you form the next government in Antigua, which I hope happens, that you're going to take a stance on the CIP program. Maybe you're going to overhaul it or bring it to a stop or phase it out. What is the position?
When the UPP, because in fairness, the UPP we were the party who implemented or instituted the CIP program from the very onset, all right? But it had all the guardrails, all the restrictions, all the safety requirements in place. It was the Labour Party who bastardized it. As a matter of fact, the UPP lost the election very shortly after launching the CIP. So I think in Parliament they were boasting that the UPP only had four, one, two, three, four passports issued. I remember the first one was a man named George Georges, and he was on the media. They were parading him around the place. But they lost the election like right away, right away. So they never benefited from the CIP program. But Gaston Brown and his colleagues, they went in and they bastardized the CIP program. And all the guardrails that were there were supposedly there. I mean, at one point, he was boasting that the U.S. Embassy, that they were part of the due diligence program. And they had to come out publicly and say, no, they're not. They don't get involved in domestic squabbles. They don't get involved, right? So who is doing it now? I don't know.
Before Lofty takes the stage and to ask a few questions, in Dominica, to become a CBI agent, one has to possess a certain amount of money and make an application which has to be approved by cabinet. Of course, the prime minister ultimately making that decision. What we have are agents who are known to be friends of the prime minister and his government. I'm aware in St. Kitts, they have a system that seems to suggest that there is meritocracy. In Antigua, is it the same as in Dominica, that the agents are friends or members of the government?
If he does not agree with it, you can't be an agent. So I would say yes.
And in addition to that, in Dominica, it's alleged that the Dominican Labour Party government, the Labour Party benefits considerably from proceeds of passport sales, because of course when these agents would sell a certain number of citizenship, they would give the Dominican Labour Party Labour Party monies for campaign. So there have been those allegations. Would that be the same in Antigua?
I can't definitively say that they have given monies to the government for campaign, though we've seen where I spoke about the Yida group, for example, that in that contract that a family of four could get passports for $50,000, whereas outside you would have to pay 250. We've seen evidence that they contributed heavily to the tune of I think either $3 or $4 million to the Labour Party's political campaign, and that's how it works. I
Yeah.
cannot say definitively that the agents would have been passing money, but this is Antigua, the
Right.
corruption capital of the world.
Oh,
I hear people say that Dominica is bad. You can't hold a candle to what goes on here. All right.
yeah.
So for me to say definitively that that happens, I cannot. For me
Yeah.
to speculate that it happens,
You
where
can,
there's
you can.
smoke.
There's fire.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much, Brother Watts here, speaking to us live here on the United Progressive Parties program tonight. Folks, we want to make this discussion very, very interactive indeed. So let us just open up those lines now. The numbers are 449 3095 3096 3097 616 4257. Whilst we do this from our brother Nasio Fontaine. Much food for thought tonight. From the NP from St. George's in Antigua. Let's go to the telephone to see if we can entertain our caller here. Caller, yes, good evening to you. You're on.
Yeah, good evening, Lofty.
Hi, good evening, sir.
I would just like to ask the gentleman, Lofty, if he is aware and what he thinks about it, that in Dominica, we have 3 CBI, we call it CBI, we have 3 CBI agents as on the Electoral Commission, and that would include the head of the commission. What he thinks about that, to have passport salesmen, as we say in common terms, being one of them being the head of the commission, our Electoral Commission, and 2 others sitting on the commission. I'd like to know what he thinks about that. Thank you.
All right, caller, thank you for your question here. Mr. Algernon, that is, did you hear the
I
caller?
heard the question, but I am floored. He's joking, right?
No, it's very much on point.
You got to be joking.
The
You got
chairman
to be
of
kidding me.
the chairman of the Electoral Commission in Dominica, Mr. Duncan Stu by name, a matter of fact, he's a lawyer. He is on the record in terms of being a passport agent, and also 2 other lawyers. They are on the commission as well, appointed by the government to serve the people of Dominica. So they are all 3 passport
On the
agents
Electoral Commission.
on the Electoral Commission. So he was just
Now,
asking your thoughts.
I don't know that I don't know that it is illegal. I know it sounds very unethical, though, for that to be. You see, to be an electoral commission, you're supposed to be above scrutiny. You're supposed to be above the fray, because that's a very, very, very important position that you're in. Selling, being a CBI agent, is that is that illegal? No, it's not. Of course not. Um, but for me, no, no, no. That sounds like a recipe for disaster. That, in my humble opinion, I'm not saying that these gentlemen are, because I don't know them. I don't know anything about them. They could be very credible gentlemen, but that's the recipe for disaster in my book.
In your book,
Again, remember the phrase: "He who pays the piper calls the tune."
Thank you very much, brother.
And these CBI agents, they're making some big monies, and very few are willing to walk away from that. And if I'm going to tell you, hey, look, remember, I have the last say. I can take your position as an agent if you don't acquiesce, if you don't this, you don't that. There are very few men who are willing to say, well, you know what? Take your job, and you know the song.
Yeah, true. All right, folks, we are here talking to Mr. Algernon Watts, MP from St. George's in Antigua. A very candid conversation with the brother indeed. We'd also like to know some things, read the Chinese influence in Antigua and Barbuda from Brother Watts. And also I was looking at his feed yesterday. Read the opposition leader. We have to ask him an update on that as well. So yes, folks, if you want to engage with him as well, the numbers to call 449-3095, 3096, 3097. Those of you, if your comments on the live feed as well, if we get the time to go for some of them, that is, we will do you guys the honor. And we wanna touch the sky. Who are you to judge me? All right, brother Watts, a question is coming your way there. It says, can you please ask your guest whether the seizure of a luxury yacht named Alpha Nero from Russia has anything to do with the visa restriction on Antigua?
I don't know who asked that question, but they're paying a lot of attention to what's happening over here. Whomever that texter is, I tip my hat to that person. Yeah, whether it's yes or no, it is up in the air. But coincidences, I heard this a long time ago, that these coincidences have to be planned. Um, we got involved, and I say we because I'm an Antiguan. We got involved with something we should not have gotten involved in. We went and seized that yacht that did not interfere with us. If we wanted it out of here, we could have simply asked them to remove themselves. But our leaders saw a financial windfall. They already started spending the money even before they got it. Um, and so, yes, they held on to that boat, figuring that this boat was valued at 112 or 120 million US dollars. They tried to sell it in an auction for 67 million. That fell through. Another gentleman is suing us for a couple $1 million. Well, that case is still before the court because he had the second highest bid. So when Mr. Schmidt fell out, um, he thought it should have been his. So he's suing the government now. And eventually they sold a boat that was valued at 120 or 112 million US dollars. They end up and they sold that boat for 40 million. It's like a fire sale. Now, Miss Guriev, she is going all out because she said it was her boat and she was never sanctioned. So they had no right to hold on to her boat. She's going all out. Her lawyer, coincidentally or not, happens to be Donald Trump's lawyer.
Wow.
Interesting.
Now, our prime minister, being the bully and the vagabond that he is, he had some nasty things to say about the lawyer. It was the lawyer, that lawyer, who was the first to mention about this visa restriction thing that's happening. Said, oh, it was leaked, that there may be visa restriction. And within 2 days of him saying that, there comes the visa restriction on us. Now, our prime minister said he was going to sue the lawyer, he was going to do this, he was going to do that. Whether he has or not, we don't know. It was a threat, though. He had some unkind things to say about the lawyer. And then, lo and behold, visa restrictions.
Wow. Well, more questions are coming in.
True.
One of the questions from a listener is, what is the status of that court case against PM Brown in Florida?
With Miss Guriev.
Yes.
Okay. They have discovery. I think he has to go back to the court, or they have to go back to the court sometime pretty soon because Julia won discovery. So now all the things that they wanted to see, they will have to hand it over to them.
Okay. Wow.
Everything in darkness must come out to light. Jimmy
Yes,
True.
indeed.
Can't do wrong and get right.
Indeed. We have a question there, Mr. Watts, from one of our viewers. In on the heels of what I asked you about the Chinese influence in Antigua, that person is asking to ask you whether the 1,000 acres plus given to the Chinese in Antigua was a cabinet or parliament decision.
1,000 acres. I don't know of 1,000. Oh, you mean Yida?
Yes.
The Yida deal.
Yeah, the Hida deal.
Well,
Yes.
um, let me explain Yida's situation. Yida got the land from Alan Stanford, who
Okay.
purchased that land. Well, not from Stanford himself, but from his liquidators, because Stanford is in prison.
Mhm.
Stanford purchased that land from Dato Tan, K Hawk, another Asian man. Antigua had already surrendered that land to Dato Tan. Stanford bought it from Dato Tan, and Yida would have gotten it from Dato Tan from Stanford's liquidators. right? So that didn't have to go to Parliament, didn't have to go to. It was already there.
Okay.
No, it was the cabinet, Gaston Brown and his cabinet,
Mhm.
who gave them this free trade zone license, um, signed this agreement, and then called in on my show while I was highlighting all the concessions and giveaways and ludicrousness in that agreement, called in to doubt it, basically saying that we are misleading people. And I had to remind him, sir, I am not paraphrasing anything here. I am reading verbatim. I am reading word for word from a document you signed.
Mhm.
He didn't know. He was unaware. He even went as far to say, well, if those things are in there that you say, then we will have to go to Parliament and change them. I said, but did you not read this thing before you signed it? So he was the one who gave Yida all of these things because his signature is affixed to it as the Minister of Finance. And he has been back to Parliament 100 times since then and has never done anything about it.
So clearly, his party, at least his party, has benefited from that deal.
He has benefited from Yida directly in terms of campaign financing.
Now, I'm happy you brought up that term, campaign finance. In Dominica, we have a big issue here. For many years, we rallied and advocated for electoral reform, and the government eventually yielded, and we had the passage of 3 electoral bills, now acts of parliament, sometime this year. But what is absent is campaign finance legislation. And that's a big thing here in Dominica because we have seen the monetization of our campaign. We have seen that our campaign has become very transactional. The incumbent, the Dominica Labour Party government, has had a sea of money over the past elections. We do not know where they're getting the money from. We do not know who is giving the money. And we are not aware what kind of influence that those donors have on our government. And therefore, we keep asking for campaign finance legislation. In Antigua, do you have any such legislation?
Absolutely not. As you were speaking just now about it, I chuckled because I remember one of your Calypsonian who did a song a few years ago. I'll look into it. I'm not aware of it. I think it is Skrunter. Skrunter who did that song. I'll look into it. I'm
Yes,
not
yes.
aware of it.
You're very much on point. Yes.
Yeah. Now, only a fool in power, they say, loses power. Do you think that these unethical leaders we have around the place are going to put anything in place to level the playing field? That is what campaign
Certainly not.
finance regulation will do.
Right.
And none of these unethical leaders we have around are going to do that to level the playing field. So it is left to the people to insist that this happens. It is left, you see, people don't understand their power. People have the power. The power in the people is greater than the people in power. And when people sit back and figure that you only have a say every 5 years, then for 4.5 years, these marauders are going to keep walking on the backs of the people, putting their foot to the throat of the people. And then for the 6 months before the election, they come in and they're singing all the gospel hymns and they're kissing the babies, etc. They come and they patch 2 roads here. They put a street light there. They do some little throw a little party, and the people forget. The people forget what happened to you for 4.5 years. The administrations that keep neglecting the people, abusing the people, but still gets re-elected. Who put them back there? The same people in it.
Well, we seem to have a lot of a lot of commonalities in our political system here and the political behavior of our leaders. Because what you mentioned, we're experiencing the same here: an abuse of the people, an abuse of incumbency, an abuse of state resources, and misleading the public.
What is important, and this is where journalists keeps dropping the ball in our small territories. You look at our leaders and you calculate their salaries and you look at their possessions that they've gained from the time they got in office. I remember I read a book sometime about this man in England. He was a black man, um, and he had amassed a fortune. He was a hustler, and they tried everything to catch him, and they could not. They never caught him on an act. They never caught him doing a hustle. What they got him on was this law from 19 how long that says if you cannot explain your fortune, then you're in problem. That is what they caught him with. Look at our leaders. Look at some of our even our police officers in right here in Antigua. We have police officers making regular police salary. Look at their homes. Look at their vehicles. Your policemen building homes for women, and so on a police salary. You have members of parliament. Look at their possessions. Check their bank accounts, whether you can find them or not. How do you explain that?
True. Mr. Was, let me just beg your permission there to have someone call then and sort of chime in. Caller, yes, good evening to you on.
It's me again, Lofty.
Yes.
And I just want to put something together because the gentleman seemed appalled at the situation we're in. But I want to put it together because maybe that's what appalled him. When we have, for example, the opposition is fighting for electoral reform, and at the same time, as I stated before, we have these 3 CBI agents, the head of the Electoral Commission, and 2 other members stalling. As a matter of fact, the head of the commission practically said nothing for more than a year or so, Lofty. Correct me if I'm wrong, Lofty. For more than a year or so, the head of the commission said nothing to the people. He never addressed the people. He never educated the people. And I believe all that should be part of the electoral process. And not only during the electoral process, but electoral reform process. It was an electoral reform process, and he never said a word until the prime minister wanted him to say some words so that they could race this thing like a railroad train through parliament. So I'm trying to put the two together to show him having these kinds of people in the electoral commission while we're going through that electoral reform process. It was just a nightmare. And there's no way we got what we wanted for electoral reform. I'll leave it there, Lofty, and see how he thinks about that.
All right, thank you very much. A matter of fact, we got what some persons call in Dominica electoral deform. Caller, yes, good evening to you. You're on.
Yes, good evening to you, Lofty, and good evening to your panelists.
Yeah, good evening.
I'm Joshua Francis and Honorable Watt from Antigua.
How are you, sir?
I've been cool, sir. My name is Hilary Shillingford. I'm a member of the Electoral Commission in Dominica. And I listened to you quite sensitively. And the comments you made that it is not illegal to have CBI agents being commissioned on the Electoral Commission. I also agree with you. But you made it clear that it's a recipe for disaster. In Dominica, I can tell you for a fact, the 3 CBI agents from start, every time for the last maybe 10 to 12 years, every one of the 3 members that are elected appointed by the president, and the prime minister. Every one of them have been CBI agents. And clearly, these guys don't want to affect their income. I can tell you, sir, when we are at the commission discussing, for example, we had the most brilliant jurist, Sir Dennis Byron, doing our reform for us. We fought. The manner in which he was appointed was very bad, but we decided, the other two commissioners, myself and Mr. Wayne James, that we were going to go with it in the interest of Dominica and for reform. And this man had to be shutting the lawyers, the senior lawyers on the commission, shutting them and telling them it is sad that you have to be disagreeing with them so many times and agreeing with two non-lawyers on the commission. So I just wanted to reinforce the point that you made, that these guys are just about their pockets. And I said to them, even at the commission, the chairman of the commission is one that would never have a position. He never takes a position on, or comment or makes a contribution on any matter. But everywhere senior counsel added votes. That's where he votes. So I'm saying Dominica does. In a nutshell, we don't have an electoral reform. We have a few cronies that just looking at their pocket and deciding they will do nothing to upset the status quo. If we vote in, for example, this is a stone. I go outside, I pick up a stone. And for their interest, they want to say this is a water bottle. Three of them would say a water bottle. And we have to say, then it becomes a water bottle, a big stone you pick up outside. So I just wanted to reinforce the point that it has been a recipe for disaster. A simple one. Parliament, we took a position where Dominicans, we know the state of the economy. You could come in with your birth certificate, an ID, and an affidavit from a justice of peace. These guys did everything they have to do. It continued. The day in which we were the last day, while we're supposed to be allowing the people to come in, when reform was going to start, the reconfirmation was going to start, they passed an SRO, three of them against two of us, and they will not be accepting. After we have been advertising, the very same day the commission advertising what you need in order to register, to confirm. These guys went in there in a meeting before, and they passed an SRO saying that they will not be accepting birth certificate and ID. In other words, the government went around and gave all their supporters, it was public knowledge, ID, passport ID, and even some of them social security card, and they never work anywhere. That is the kind of corruption that's taking place in this country. And I suspect Antigua is almost there. But I am saying again, I do support the point that you made. It is the people who have to stop it. And I went on the radio several times telling the people whatever we do, the three of them will vote against us. So it is you, the people, who must come out and stop this administration. And today we have a number of Dominicans who cannot afford an ID. And they have been voting for more than 10 times in Dominica. And this government is disenfranchising people who have voted a number of times in Dominica. Stay there and fight to keep Dominica afloat. And they're allowing people to come from America, England, and wherever they're supporters. Pay their ticket to bring them in. And they're allowing them without being residents here. So in other words, the reform has no residency criteria. So you can jump from a plane today, register today, and reconfirm today, and fly back tomorrow. While Dominicans who are in Dominica, they changed the law last minute, on the 11th hour, to prevent the people who are not supporters of the government and cannot afford to pay for an ID. So I just wanted to put that in perspective. And I can tell you, Mr. Francis has been doing a wonderful job, a serious job in this country. I guarantee you that working with Mr. Francis, we can see things happening for both countries, Antigua and Dominica. Joshua Francis came in and dethroned the solid candidate, Ambrose George. The biggest turnaround in the history of Dominica at an election was by that same Joshua Francis who invited you on that program. And I'm telling you, he has an infectious spirit, and Joshua Francis means well. And I urge Dominicans to support Joshua Francis. Joshua Francis means well, and he's not interested in just himself. Whatever he has to do to work with any political party in Dominica to defraud that corrupt administration, he will do. Thanks for the moment.
Caller?
Yes, sir.
The question quickly, please.
Yeah. Say that again?
May I ask a question quickly, please?
Yes, sir.
What's the composition of your electoral commission?
The electoral commission comprises of 5 members, 2 elected by the Prime Minister, 1 appointed by, not elected, but appointed by the Prime Minister, and 1 appointed by the President, and 2 appointed by the opposition leader. But I must say to you that from inception, the member who has been appointed by the President, since the President has been appointed by the Prime Minister, that's how it is in Dominica. Prime Minister controls the majority. And whoever he puts as the President will be the President. They seem to think that they are not independent. Our President has not been independent in this country. And whoever they appoint seem to feel that they are working on behalf of the Prime Minister.
So you have a 5-member
5-member commission.
5-member commission, and you're telling me 3 of the 5 are CIP, CBI agents?
That's correct, sir.
That is ludicrous.
And two are the Prime Minister personal lawyers. 2 out of the 3.
Oh boy.
Most trusted lawyers in the country to the Prime Minister.
Wow.
So the country can never receive justice.
That's very interesting.
Yeah,
and I'm
indeed.
telling you, it's not going to change.
It will if the people.
Give power.
Everything starts and ends with the people, okay? Everything starts
Right.
and that's why every time I am making a call to action or whatever, I'm not talking about what the leaders are saying, the leaders are doing. I am talking directly to the people.
True.
All right, let's take a little pause for the cause. Let's do this. We'll be right back in just a bit.
Not one of them can get my vote. I am making no sport with them. I'm tired of the politics. I'm tired of the politics. Broken promises and gimmicks. Poor people can't take it no more. I'm tired of the politics. I'm tired of the politics. Broken promises and gimmicks. Poor people can't take it no more. That's why this party has to go. This party has to go. Not one of them can get my vote. They have no vegan for the vote. Take a look at this country. Look what it has been wrong. The poor are getting poorer, but the wealth is in the hands of a few. Mark my words, the judgment is coming. Led by the ones that you abuse. Your tyranny will soon be over. With the power of a vote, you keep people. No more excuses. See, keep your broken promises.
Folks, it is 13 minutes to the hour of 9 o'clock.
But I say no more.
Just wanted some of these very, very inspirational words to sink in from this brother. He entitled this one, Not My Vote.
Poor people can't take it no.
Mr. Watts, you seem very, very surprised tonight, huh? Based on what you have been hearing.
This is an eye opener for me. This is an eye opener. I really need to spend more time with my brothers in Dominica. I really need to.
Because
I know
corruption has become institutionalized.
Yeah,
The government of Dominica basically has caused the integrity of public offices to plummet into the grave. So we have what is called the IPO. As we speak, we do not have any opposition member on the IPO because we do not have a leader of opposition. And one of the members of the IPO that is integrity in public office has to be recommended by the leader of the opposition. And because we do not have a leader of the opposition as we speak, no one can recommend or advise the president of Dominica to appoint a member representing the opposition. But even when we had a member of the opposition on the IPO, the laws concerning the IPO had to be amended to avoid any action against the Prime Minister of Dominica. So our institutions, which supposed to safeguard the integrity on the islands, have been compromised. Our police force is being led by supporters of the Dominica Labour Party, and they appear to represent the Labour Party's interests first over the interests of the people of Dominica. We then have a financial investigating unit, same problem. So we really have a situation where the power rests in the hands of the people of Dominica, and the people of Dominica are responsible to cause a change in Dominica because the infestation, the contamination, the darkness, the corruption have taken root in Dominica, and we can only uproot it by removing this government.
Yeah.
Alganan, let's take another call here before we ask you to your final thoughts before we close. It's 10 minutes to the hour of shutdown time. Caller, yes, be very succinct, please. Good evening to you.
So, lovely, sorry I have to call so soon again.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to go a little further than what the leader of the DPP, the UPP, just explained about the IPO, Integrity in Public Office. The Integrity in Public Office consisted of 7 members. Was that correct, Joshua?
Yeah, that was correct.
5, I think 7.
Yes.
And when that Integrity Commission decided to take action against the members of government, including the Prime Minister, we saw the Prime Minister abolishing the IPO, destroying the IPO. And the new commission that they put in place decided that no matter was going to be continued against the Prime Minister. I think they further dismantled it again and put it to 2 by the government and 1 by the opposition. None by the Bar Association, nobody from the accountants.
The
commission or whatever.
The accounting firm.
Right.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So this is what they did. They have destroyed it. And if I was to tell you, Mr. Watt, the age of the 2 people that the government appoint on the commission, I think they are more than 80 or thereabout. People who cannot, basically, putting a person at that age, if you're totally sound, one can understand. But the government, the Prime Minister knows why he put these people. Retirees who have almost cannot walk to a meeting. So it is that was done purposely to destroy the country. When you were looking for something that happened in Antigua, in Dominica there was a $5,000 salary, $5 million asset. That was dubbed a legal matter. So Dominica is doomed, and until the people open their eye and decide that they're going to move that co-op administration in the manner in which the CBI funds are being dealt with, Dominica will get nowhere.
All right.
I just have to comment.
All right. Thank you very much, Hillary. You call your name, so yes, I feel free I can call it. Mr. Watts, in the interest of time, we have 8 more minutes to wind up. Can you now just speak to the situation with the opposition leader that you went live and it went viral over the weekend in your country, please? So just give us in a nutshell what happened before and that culminated yesterday.
In a nutshell, the scandal here in Antigua we refer to as the Vehicle Gate scandal, where millions of dollars are unaccounted for. Lots of monies were allotted for purchase of vehicles, The Minister of Public Works, who is the wife of the Prime Minister, said when she came in office in 20, when she got that position in 2023, the position of Public Works, she saw some anomalies inside it. She saw some things that were egregious. Remember, they were in office still the session before that, so it would have been her predecessor, Lennox Weston, the junior minister of finance and the minister of public work. But she said she saw some things that were out of whack. So she took it to her husband and the cabinet, and they put some things in place as to the purchase of vehicles, that no vehicle can be purchased in Antigua without a cabinet decision. However, for 3 years under her watch, it not only continued, but it ballooned. Now, she says she was driving by the police station and saw two new Broncos parked there for quite a while. So she called her husband to find out why these Broncos have been there. Long story short, let me cut the long story short because we're running out of time. They discovered that a lot of vehicles were being purchased by for the government, by agents in the government, in her ministry, etc., that didn't have the quote unquote cabinet approval to the tune of nearly $40 million. Well, they said 15, but our investigation said it's way more than $15 million.
Okay.
The political leader in his budget debate, he said that she has to account for that. As a matter of fact, you fired one of your ministers, Asad Michael, when he was detained in England for questioning. He wasn't charged. He was detained in England for questioning. You got rid of Michael Freeland, Senator Michael Freeland, out of the Senate when $120,000 went missing from an auction. You got rid of, there was Michael Brown, the Minister of Education, when his name was called in a matter with a young girl. He eventually won that case. But you got rid of all of them when these things happened. Why is your wife still in position? Why is she not removed? And he didn't like that, and he told him in Parliament, "We're going to deal with you. I'm going to deal with you." I sent the DCA. He sent instructed the DCA to go pull down your tent. Now the leader of the opposition had a tent on a beach in Old Road, where he is the representative. They did send DCA out there. DCA not only dismantled the tent, the tobacco, but they destroyed it. They destroyed it. Now, this is a collapsible tent. You could have easily just uprooted it, but no, they destroyed it. APUA, Antigua Public Utilities Authority, they were doing some work over in the same area to lay pipes for fiber optic cables. Now, the villagers of Old Road, they got upset because of what had happened, and they told the folks from APUA, "Gentlemen, we have no issues with you. You're Antiguans. We have no issues with you. Just leave Old Road now," because of what had happened. Okay, they left. The pipes that were there, somehow the pipes got torched 2 nights later. And they're saying the prime minister, not the police, the prime minister is saying it is because he made incendiary statements why someone would have torched that and gave instructions. He said in Parliament he's going to bypass the Attorney General and give instructions to the police. Well, we saw that the instructions were given, and the police called summoned the political leader to the police station yesterday. We believe with the intention of keeping him there until Wednesday, because the law says you can hold someone for 48 hours without charging them. But it does not include public holiday, which yesterday was, and it does not include Saturday and Sunday, which today is Saturday, tomorrow is Sunday. So the 48 hours would only start on Monday. And so the 48 hours would lead until Wednesday. But the people turned out in their numbers, and that's why I was telling you it's all up to the people. The people turned out in their numbers and they weren't going to have it. So I guess the police erred on the side of caution and released him yesterday. But we are of the opinion that they're still going to go through with it because Gaston Brown is adamant that he should be dealt with. And so that's why we were out there standing in solidarity with our political leader, not just in solidarity with him. We are standing in solidarity with our democracy. We are defending our democracy. So that's
Yeah,
why we were.
just wind up.
Yeah, so we want to thank you so much, Honorable Watts. We know that you're busy. We invited you at short notice. Nonetheless, you presented yourself and you have engaged the people of Dominica. I'm sure they appreciated it. We didn't get that many calls because people were more listening and did not really want to call to disturb the fluency with which you shared your experience in Antigua to that of what's happening in Dominica. One of the points I do want to assert is you mentioned that the Honorable Gaston Brown fired some of his men and women in the past. Here in Dominica, in the last 25 years, this government has never fired a minister of government, even in situations where apparent sins were committed by his members. So, for example, a couple of years ago, we had a junior minister who allegedly did shoplifting. It became public, and the prime minister said that he would look into it. And to this date, no action has been taken. We have a situation where the current police commissioner allegedly was involved in the alleged abduction of Trotsky. At the time, he was not police commissioner. Since then, he has been promoted. So that's the kind of thing that is happening in Dominica, where corrupt individuals are being glorified and promoted, where truth all of a sudden is becoming a stranger to Dominicans. And this government has done a lot of transgressions. They continue to be corrupt, and they do it with impunity, broad daylight. And we can go on and on and on. But in the interest of time, we're winding this up. We are hoping that you will be a featured guest on many programs, given that we really did not have the time to explore many issues. But we are so grateful. I'm sure the listeners are grateful. And we want to thank you on behalf of the United Progressive Party Dominica and Dominica by extension. Thank you so much.
Before you give my prime minister those three names that I mentioned, they and him weren't on the best of terms. Okay, and in fact, he got rid of Michael Freeland, Senator Michael Freeland, so that he could put his wife in that position, and that's when she ran and became a minister. So let's not give him any flowers for that.
Yes, I agree.
But Mr. Watts, just before I ask you for your final or parting comments, I took note that you said you are the owner manager of Observer. I'm asking you, please, on behalf of the United Progressive Party and also the people of Dominica by extension, let us just continue to cross-pollinate ideas, situations, Antigua and Barbuda through your medium. That would be very, very of high note. So I'm just asking you in a very noble fashion on behalf of the people of Dominica.
Yeah, that is, of course, it's worth looking into. I don't want to commit and say yes right away, but I am on board.
All right, thank you, thank you very much for that commitment in part.
Yes, and I thank you guys so very much for having me again. Short notice, I left my show. I'm going to go back now on my show, but people of Dominica. I can't say it in part one because I don't know part one. I said the wrong thing and get you cancelled. But thank you.
Well, that is all the more reason why we need to see you here in 26 to teach you some part one.
I look forward to it. God bless you.
Right. God bless you. God bless you too.
Thank you.
Right. Good night.
Good night.
All right, Josh. We basically ran the clock. The clock is saying 2 minutes past 9, so we should be out by now.
Yes.
Josh, any final thoughts, any motivating and inspiring thoughts you want to leave the people of Dominica on that high note as we say goodbye to 25 and usher into 26?
Well, actually, that's our last program in 2025, Lofty. I just want to take the opportunity to say thank you to the listeners and those who called in. I want to say a special thank you to Hillary Shillingford for the endorsement. Thank you, sir. And I just want to add to what the gentleman, our guest, said tonight, that the power lies in the hands of the people. Dominicans, the power lies in your hands. We ought not to miss on the opportunity that will present itself at the next polling day. We have to ensure that this government is put away. We ought not to allow this government to stay any longer. It's destroying the country, it's mismanaging the environment, it is mismanaging our resources, it has become corrupt, it has caused the crime situation in Dominica to worsen, it has caused our young people to lose hope. In some people's mouths, they say that this government has become a dream killer. This government has caused the reputation of Dominica to be tainted on the international stage. This government has not been able to cause economic growth through productivity. This government is causing our country to be sold, not just through citizenship, but our lands are being sold to foreigners. This government has been reckless in establishing diplomatic positions and not accounting to the people of Dominica as to the number of diplomats we have, the portfolios those diplomats have, the function of those diplomats, and the value of those diplomats to Dominica. So, Lofty, we can go on, but I just want to tell the people of Dominica that there is hope. With the United Progressive Party, this party is bent on working with all other parties, including the United Workers' Party. We see a light at the end of the tunnel. I have no doubt that more and more Dominicans will gain confidence in the opposition. More and more Dominicans will lose confidence in this government. They have overstayed. We are tired with this Dominican Labour Party. Not only it is corrupt, but it is causing Dominicans to become less independent by the day, by the hour, by the month. Lofty. We saw it over the past few days. We saw how dreadful it was in Roseau, people not having the cash to spend.
Josh,
So,
let me just chime in. Here.
Yes.
Let me respectfully.
yes.
Where I took note that this year's Christmas was not the ordinary Christmas, was the messages, the amount of messages I received. And I paused there.
Yeah, yeah. But better days are ahead, Lofty. We are here. And Lofty, I want to thank you. I mean, you have been on this journey for a long time now. Right now, you're serving in the capacity as PRO of the United Progressive Party, but that is not new to you. You have been on this journey for a long time now, selflessly serving the people of Dominica. And I really want to call you out. And I want our listeners to appreciate you and appreciate all of us who have been out there fighting for Dominica, including Hillary Shillingford,
True.
the gentleman who called. He has been on the Electoral Commission. He has been there fighting for electoral reform. He has been asking Dominicans to open their eyes. There are other fighters, Dr. Fontaine, Ronald Charles, Mr. Linton, Mr. Edison James.
All the
You
patriots,
understand?
Josh. All the true patriots. Yes.
And I want to mention the freedom fighters.
Sure.
We were hoping that we would review some materials for 2025. We did not get a chance, but one of the items I do want to make mention of are the protesters, March 19th, 2025. We really have to reach out to them, Lofty. They went on the streets, they protested, they fought for Dominica. At the end, they were arrested, they were brought before a court of law, and they have a charge hanging over their heads. Kudos to them. But that's the type of struggle, that's the type of energy that we need to bring to the fore to ensure that we take back our country. We have to reclaim Dominica. We have to take it back so that we can restore Dominica. We are fighting here for the people of Dominica and the environment, the natural environment of Dominica.
Thank you very much, Mr. Joshua Francis. I think you mentioned that song, Dream Killer.
So, Lofty, I want to wish the people of Dominica well, because the next program will be into the new year. So I want to wish the people of Dominica well. Better days are ahead. Let's look towards it and let's love each other. Let's hold each other's hand and to win more and more hearts and minds in getting others to understand that we need a change in Dominica. And we're going to get that change. It's coming.
True.
It's coming. So one love. God bless Dominica. God bless us. I hope that in 2026 we have less killing. As a matter of fact, I would wish if we have no killings at all, and that we see better days, more cash in our hands, safer environments, safer communities, happier children, happier families, more functional families, a better Dominica, Lofty. That's what we are looking for.
God bless.
Some call you a mama guy, I call you a heartbreaker.
Okay, Dominicans, that's it. Went a little overboard tonight,
But no, we can't cope. You're a
but you can well understand, huh?
got a mental
Our guest for tonight's program, our formidable guest at that,
killer.
Mr. Algernon Watts, Honorable, that is from Antigua and Barbuda. Thank you very much, sir, for your excellent execution tonight. Looking forward to many, many more engagements.
We believed in you,
To all of you who will spend the 2 hours with us,
nothing coming through. The love
thank you very much for your eyes and ears each and every time, Dominicans.
is big celebration for us to praise you.
So, on behalf of the United Progressive Party, we wish you guys a splendid, a very productive 2026 and beyond.
Our children have
Together, we can do it. The people's power is the real power.
so many sent over this to study.
On January 15th, 2026,
Them workers were blue
just a note, an announcement note there.
bands. If you did
Mr. Museveni, that's the current president of Uganda,
shall come on Facebook Live. They think she exposing makes me
will be going up against this young sensational brother,
acting so sly.
Mr. Sesentamu, better known as Bobby Wine,
They say a promise is a
in the general elections in Uganda.
kind of graduate. You don't get this school.
So, Dominicans, that's it. Thank you very much.
And more
Once that song is done from my friend Nashal and the brother Malon,
call you a big
then yes, Josh and I will be out.
breaker and a dream killer. We had plenty hope, but now we can't cope. You're a dream killer. Disregard of mental health while you busy getting well. You're a dream killer. Some in NEP, working for small money. You're a dream killer. You present a lot of things, we believe in you. No, our life passing by, nothing coming through. It is so embarrassing while you there smiling. Baby, there's that grumbling, the college waiting. Hey, oh, you feel it, I had a dream.